Why is it so cold down here? A beautiful lake of lava that greets me every morning is completely frozen over. Has something happened up there? No, that's his plan. No, not it. Wacom?
With so many artists switching over to iPads and making those their primary drawing tool, it only makes sense that Wacom would be jumping in to make their own Android tablet. And to my surprise, it's also really affordable. That was weird. And this is a really good Android tablet that comes with Wacom's Pro Pen 3. And that price, $450, which is like really good, like shockingly good. I really need to get the vents checked. This is only $25 more than XP Pen's Magic Drawing Pad, which has similar specs, or Samsung's mid-range Galaxy Tab FE. I'm going to be doing some comparisons of all of these tablets in a minute, but if you are doing research into what tablets I recommend, I rank everything over on my website. Also, using the product links on that site or in the description of this video, support the work I do here. So let's open this thing up. The unboxing experience is pretty understated. The box itself is white with a sketch of the tablet on it, and booting up the home screen for the first time, you're greeted with a very light gray background on the screen. I've never seen this before. A lot of tablets ship with really vibrant backgrounds to show off how nice the screens look. So at first, looking at this screen, it's a little underwhelming, but opening up some drawings on it, I can see that the colors are great. They look fine. It's just the aesthetic that Wacom is going for here is an empty sketchbook feel. Inside the box, you're also going to find that Pro Pen 3 and a USB Type-C cable for charging the tablet. This is a bring your own power brick situation. That does not come in the box. You're also going to find some of the paperwork, the manual, and that sort of thing in here too, and that's it. This is pretty much stock Android with Wacom putting a little bit of their own spin on it. There are a few Wacom apps here. A basic sketching app that they're calling Wacom Canvas, an app called Wacom Shelf that stores all of the drawings that you create on that Canvas app, and also a help app. This also comes with Clip Studio Paint pre-installed on it too. The Canvas app it's fine. It's pretty simple. Basically, you get a pencil, a blue pen, a brush, an eraser. There's no way to change the brush size here or the brush color. If you want to zoom in and out on the canvas, there are buttons for that, so you're not going to use your fingers to pinch and zoom or anything like that. Very, very basic. You can take the sketches that you create in this and port them directly over to Clip Studio. That's kind of a nice feature. And another feature I thought was cool about the sketchbook was that the pen can wake up the Android tablet and you could just start sketching in it without having to input a password or anything like that. It just makes a new document for you and everything. I can see where Wacom was going with this to try to make it as seamless as possible just to jump in and start drawing. For me, I don't think it's that big a deal to unlock this thing, and I would rather just open up a new document in Clip Studio and just work from there straight up instead of creating a sketch in one place and then porting it over. I think Clip Studio's simple mode is really, really nice and streamlined. And with a quick trip to the settings, I could just jump over to full-blown Clip Studio if I need all of those other features. It's also worth noting this does come with a free 2-year Clip Studio Paint license for this device. After those 2 years, it is a $25 a year subscription. I'm such a huge Clip Studio fan that I think that's a deal, but not everybody's up for subscription. And also worth noting, this is Android, so you're not limited to just what comes on the tablet. You can go to the App Store and download any Android drawing app your heart desires. If you are new to this whole drawing on Android thing, it has come a long, long way in the past few years. While there is nothing like Procreate or the Adobe apps that you can find on the iPad, you do have a lot of apps like iBiz Paint X, High Paint, or Infinite Painter, and I think those go a long way to filling that gap. And of course, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Clip Studio, so I'm good to go here.
Movink. Doesn't Wacom already have a product with that name?
One thing that is a little confusing is that Movink brand name has been used for a traditional 13-inch OLED drawing tablet that Wacom put out last year. Now that tablet needs to be plugged into a computer in order to work. This is clearly an Android tablet, a standalone thing. On the Amazon page for this product, it lists the Movink as coming in 2 sizes, as if they are the same product, just in different sizes. I don't know if Wacom is actually controlling this Amazon page. It might be like a third-party seller doing that, but I could see where it would be really confusing for somebody if they were just like, oh, I want the Wacom Android tablet, just slightly bigger, the 13-inch version, and assume that it's the same thing, because it kind of looks that way. But if you want Wacom's Android tablet, it only comes in this 11.5-inch size, not 13 inches.
I was confused.
Who are you?
Teach me how to draw, human.
Look, I don't know who you are, but I'm in the middle of something here. That's just gonna have to wait. The design of this tablet is pretty smart. It's got a nice aluminum aluminum body, squared off edges. The speakers sound really good. Now, most cameras nowadays have a camera bump. That makes sense. Giving the camera a little bit of extra space usually means you can fit a slightly better, higher quality camera here. Not that tablets have cameras that are as good as your phones, but they're serviceable. And I found using this one, even though it doesn't have that camera bump, was still serviceable. Not great, but it got the job done. But you're not using your tablet for photography here. You're using the camera to snap some reference images or a sketch from your notebook that you want to noodle on. If you really need that kind of crazy fidelity from your camera, most people are probably just going to grab their phone and then just send the picture over to their tablet and go from there. I bring all this up because no camera bump means that the tablet is not tippy, something most tablet users don't care about. But if you've ever drawn on a tablet with a big camera bump, you notice it's kind of tippy. It's not always fun to draw on. Here there are even little rubber bumps along the back, so this will stay in place on your desk and not slide around too much. Now on a lot of tablets, that camera bump doesn't bother me because usually I have some kind of case or cover type thing on it. Wacom isn't selling one of those yet, but it looks like they're going to be soon. On their available accessories portion of their specs page, it lists an 11-inch case. But while you're waiting for that to come out, I would definitely recommend getting some kind of protective sleeve or something like this if you plan on sliding this into the bag. You really do want to protect the screen. You want to keep this in good shape. The screen itself is pretty solid. It's 11.5 inches. It's an IPS display that's on par with other screens I've seen in this price range. We've got a resolution of 2200 pixels by 1440. This screen also has a 90 Hz refresh rate, which is a little faster than what you'd expect. It is worth noting that by default, this is turned down to 60 Hz, which is a slower refresh rate, which is going to save on batteries. So if you do want to take advantage of that, get the snappier animations and that sort of thing, you do have to jump into the settings and just toggle that on. It has a matte coating on it to prevent glare, but this also provides a little bit of resistance when you're drawing on it, which is something that I find is really common among drawing tablets, but really hard to find on Android tablets. And I like that little bit of a scratchy feel. This also has 8 gigabytes of memory and 120 gigabytes of storage. If you're using this only for drawing, that's plenty of space. If you plan on loading this up with a bunch of games and storing videos on it, that probably is going to fill up kind of fast. It's worth noting that while a lot of Android tablets do have a way of increasing the storage with a micro SD card slot, this does not. The processor they put in this thing is solid. This is a MediaTek Helio G99. What the heck does that mean? It's basically a standard mid-range chip. There's nothing special about it, but it gets the job done, and it runs any drawing app that you're going to throw at it just fine. So if I was going to summarize all of these specs, screen, processor, storage, I would say this. It's pretty much what I would expect at this price range. It's not cheaping out anywhere, and it's not overachieving anywhere. At least it's not overachieving anywhere until you get to the pen.
Now can you teach me art, human?
No! Look, if you're that interested, I have a Learn to Draw in 60 Days course over on my website. You could go there and learn more. It's designed for beginners who maybe have found other tutorials really difficult to just jump into and need something that's going to teach them some of those intro fundamentals before tackling the more advanced stuff. Anyway, check out bradsartschool.com if you want to learn more. So, this Pro Pen 3. I really like it. I wasn't sure what would translate over to Android and what would not, but it really does feel like the Pro Pen 3. First of all, the drawing experience is just fantastic. This pen feels great. It is responsive. The initial activation rate, like how light you press to get a line, is really, really good. One of the best I've seen on Android. It is a battery-free pen, so you never need to worry about charging it. Unlike on Windows or a Mac, there is no universal settings app where you can go in and adjust the pressure or set what the side buttons do to have them to do different things. So this pen does depend on your drawing app to take advantage of some of those things, like the buttons and like that pressure curve. So the default action in Clip Studio, for example, when you hold down one of the buttons, is to toggle on the eraser tool, which I actually found pretty handy. And one of the nice things about the buttons on this pen is they're not super easy to accidentally click, something that you see on a lot of inexpensive styluses. Or heck, it's easy to accidentally double tap on the Apple Pencil. That happens to be all the time, and it's kind of so infuriating I just turn it off. Here, not really a problem. Also worth noting, on a lot of Android tablets, there are some magnets on the pen or along the side of the tablet, so the pen can be stored there. This is the same Pro Pen that comes with a lot of Wacom's devices, so it's just not built to be an Android stylus. Not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, there's pros and cons to that. The downside that is that it's not designed to be stored on the tablet. The upside is that if you wanted to add a thicker barrel grip or more weight to the back of the pen or change out the nibs and get get some of those felt tip nibs in there. Wacom already makes a lot of those optional accessories that you could go out and pick up and really customize this pen and make it your own. This is probably the most customizable, no, it's definitely the most customizable Android stylus I've ever used. Nowadays, there are a ton of Android tablets out there with pens. Most of them are not worth messing with. I think there are 3 Android tablets that I really recommend nowadays. This Wacom one that I'm talking about here, definitely a recommend. Get the check mark. Then there's the XP Pen Magic Drawing Pad, and I'd also include anything in the Samsung Galaxy Tab lineup. I'm partial to the Galaxy Tab S10 FE because I think it's a good mix of price and features, but if you want to go big, if you want to get more, you could get the standard Galaxy Tab S10, or eventually, pretty soon here, they're probably going to be releasing the S11s. Those are the expensive flagship OLED screened, top of the line Android tablets. They're nice. I also recommend drawing on any of the iPads. I'm a big iPad fan, but we'll keep this on Android today. Head to head with the XP Pen tablet, I think the Wacom is my winner. I like this screen just a touch better. They're very, very close. The XP screen is calibrated to push into the blues a little bit more. I think the viewing angles on this screen are just a little bit better, but also I think these things are nitpicks. What I do like better on the Wacom is the Pro Pen 3. You just get more features. I was really blown away by the tilt settings on this pen. I didn't expect that to carry over so well from Windows and the Mac, especially in Clip Studio Paint. I don't think the other apps are probably going to be as optimized for this, but the tilt is just fantastic. First of all, the pen is designed to be tilted. The XP Pen tip is more rounded. It's kind of like the Samsung S Pen, so it doesn't have the flat side. And that flat side really does let you get down to its lowest tilt angle. So using like the pencil tool, I can really get the full feel of like a wide shading pencil, or if I tilt it up a little bit, it shrinks a little bit more. Just the range of motion you get on that tilt is really good on this pen. On the XP Pen, it technically has tilt that's written on the box, but I haven't found any apps that actually take advantage of that. Now, if I'm using a Samsung S Pen, I have tilt on there as well. That's also Wacom technology. It's not quite as good as the Pro Pen 3, but it's still very, very good. And I can tell that the range there isn't as broad, but at least I do get that feature on the S Pen. The XP Pen screen is a little bit bigger here, but I think the size difference is so minimal that it doesn't really matter to me all that much. These two tablets do have different processors, but they are still pretty comparable. Overall, I think they are very, very close in quality. If you're having a hard time picking, I would say go with the Wacom. Now, that's mainly because they're almost the same price. If we get to a point around the holidays where XP Pen's tablet ends up going on sale and is like $50, $75, $100 cheaper, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did, you know, that's a time where I'd say, okay, save the money, just grab the XP Pen. Now, when it comes to that Galaxy Tab S10 FE, I have similar feelings. I would rather draw with the Wacom stylus on this slightly textured screen. The Galaxy Tab pen is really good, but the Galaxy Tab has that glossy screen, which makes the colors pop more. I think a lot of people would prefer that. But to counter that glossy screen, instead of having a plasticky tip, the S Pen has like a rubbery tip, which just, it's fine, you get used to it, but it doesn't feel as natural and as organic as the drawing feel on this one. Where the Galaxy Tab does get interesting is in its accessories. It's a more mainstream marketed product than this Wacom product is, so if you expect to get a keyboard for this Wacom, I don't think Wacom's making one. They're eventually making that case, but you have to wait for Wacom to actually make the case and have it in stock. You're going to run into the same problems on the XP Pen as well, but with the Galaxy Tab, you just have a lot more options there because there's a lot more people making stuff for it. For example, Samsung makes a variety of different cases. Logitech has some cases too. They also have a keyboard that's available for it. I think Samsung makes a slim keyboard too. Generally, when you get into the Galaxy Tab line, you just have more options and choices. But overall, I have been really pleasantly surprised by this tablet. This is Wacom's third product this year that has really hit all the right notes for me in terms of like coming in with a really good quality that's comparable with the competitors, while also coming in at a price that's also comparable with the competitors. What do you think? Shout me out down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you in a couple of days.